We are back again, a double header tonight, Friday night weekend with BurnEye, with another epic Mike, and Mike with alienartifacts.com. And I was just pulling up your website ahead of time because you've updated it. So I might as well show this, starting off with some video, but then the lab results. But before we get into that, how are you, my friend? And what's new? And awesome to have you back.
Doing really good, man. Yes. It feels like it's been forever. I know you were gone for weeks, it felt like, and man,
It
amazing,
was
amazing adventure you went on, it seemed like. I was pretty jealous. It looks
three
you got
weeks.
the whole tour.
Next year, you have to come to at least half of it because we did Duchesne, Utah, where there's the Terry Carter Moonlight Gathering, and they're all about treasure hunting, ancient relics. And I have to eat a little bit of humble pie because of my experience there with one individual who collects and studies ancient relics of high technology. And when I got talking to him, he was laughing about the Boogosphere that he's actually got a couple of them that already in his collection, and he's had them for a very long time, and they're very ancient. And you also have what appears to be one or very similar in your collection. And when multiple different sources all verify and have the same thing, it's a little hard to deny. And no, we'll get into my trip later. Let's get into all of what you've got, because this one is about you, good sir.
Yeah, well, those boogospheres are definitely a hot topic as of late. We got some of these pieces out of the ground in Mexico. We've been studying these pieces and we've documented many different spheres and different things that look very similar to the Boogosphere, but nothing quite as intricate with the symbology and the chip design. There was one item that we've documented back from January that shows the chip design on it. So that was before the Boogosphere. But as far as what happened, over the last 6 months
Right.
or so
So
since.
I have to
uh,
just pause it and interject that that's a key part, that you got one of the artifacts that has the same looking chip design into it before the Boogosphere event.
It's
And
not my artifact. I had to track this down. I reached out to everybody asking them, do you have this? Do you have this? And there was one item with it on there. Um, that's a mosaic sphere from Abuelo Stilisco.
okay, so
And
someone has it and it existed before the whole Boogosphere event.
yeah,
And
the
then
geodate or whatever, or the WhatsApp mess, all that. I mean, there's photos of when it was received and things of that nature. So it's fairly believable. And I've documented in my books spheres and things that look very similar, with different symbology and different designs on them, but nonetheless the same shape with the same band down the middle and that
yeah,
sort of thing.
I
So
remember a few that you've shown, and it's
yeah.
fascinating. And I wish this guy would have gotten on camera with me. He looked like a mini Americanized modern, like, Gen. Well, no, I guess he was like in his 40s or 50s at least, but kind of like an Indiana Jones, but like a half Indiana Jones. But like so serious, and so many artifacts came well recommended by Terry Carter, but he was sketched out about getting on camera and recording about these things. But he showed me pictures of all of his, like, a lot of the artifacts. So like I seen them, like,
Cool.
and yeah, it's they just a lot of people don't like going public with it, unlike why I respect you and all the flack you take about it, because but you actually put your money where the science needs to be and actually get everything tested.
Yeah.
And you invested now years of time and a lot of monetary investment yourself into it, and it seems to be paying off.
Someone called it my career today, and it hit me really like a box of rocks, you know. Like I don't look at it this as my career, you know. That's far from it in reality. Like I've done a lot of other things for a lot longer, but when he said that to me, it's crazy to think, you know, after you spend time passionately doing something, it just kind of is becomes your thing, and that's, you know, I couldn't put this down until I had the answers, and now we have answers that, I mean, they go pretty deep. You know, like you said, we've been getting stuff tested and really looked at. Um, a lot more dating and stuff's going to come here really soon. We've got finally the way of getting the dates properly that are going to be something that we're testing with multiple labs right now to see if it's, you know, the same. What you're looking at on the screen right there is this glowing material. You know, I've shown you before the how everything lights up all green when you
Well,
hit it with a
and
black light,
blue and
right?
yellow and red,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. So that's a zoomed in of that, and if you look at it, it breaks it down by the different elements, and the way that that is on the stone there, it's actually bonded, and so they got this phosphor substance to bond onto stone and crystal in a way that is displaced on there, and we don't understand how it could be done because in order to fuse a
like
phosphor
it's
to a stone,
electrochemical,
you
possibly some
that
nanotechnology that's
Yeah,
got
without damaging the phosphor, you know, because it's very sensitive at heat. You can't get it hot. So it's like, wow.
fascinating.
And the way it's put on, I mean, there's no the bonders are all carbon based and things. So yeah, there's going to be an interesting study done on it, and I feel that a lot more information is going to come just from that alone. The type of breakdown of the material, there's no synthetics or any sort of modern anything in there as well, which is also
Right,
pretty
well,
shocking considering it's, you know,
that's
yeah,
very fascinating. And that you're actually doing the real science. It's showing in every step of the way that these are ancient, advanced artifacts and dating. Like for those that haven't didn't see the last episode where you covered the artifacts, the one was cut in half and had a
yeah,
petrified grown grass seed that had sprouted within it and then petrified. So that alone has to be thousands of years, if not longer.
yeah,
And then there was the other one that the customs had torn apart because most likely they might have thought either they x-rayed it and saw the seed and thought it was like because it happened right at the time there was all of the fungus by the CCP supposedly
yeah,
being sent in or something. So they might have seen the seed and tried to go for that way, or they just thought it was something new and fake and were just
yeah,
ripping it apart. Either way, they
yep,
found another ungerminated but petrified seed in the middle of another one of the artifacts.
yep,
Right.
yeah,
So
which is, I mean, the Mayans would put seeds in their offerings. We know this. This is a common practice in Mesoamerica. So to see it in this fashion is logical. I mean, it really is. But it's still surprising. The fact that it sprouted and the way the water got in there just shows how determined water is to find its seeds or to create life and to bring life. It's almost as if it's, you know, embodied somehow more than what we fully understand.
right, like the life will find a way
So
and then
bizarre.
preserved itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one, the second, the carbon dating on your website. So you've got a bunch of lab tests from Italy,
Yep.
and Italy seems to be more open in scientific disclosure of advanced ancient verification and testing lately, right? So good place to
I
go.
guess so. Yeah, I didn't know. I just knew that they were able to get it done, and I tried everywhere to get this done, and it was extremely tough. And there's actually some new lab tests from Cotella if you want to check those out too. They're under the thermoluminescent dates. That ship right there that you were just showing, or that's still showing, is what is it, 19,000 BP. which is 20,000 years old, and
Wow.
that's the glue that's on
Um,
there. So we don't know that the ship's that old and that it was made 20,000 years ago, but we do know that the adhesive is. And so that could have been petrified under the ground for 3 to 5,000 years, or who knows. And then they could have dug it up and utilized that. And that's why it's coming up with that date. Definitely possible. Um, but the dates are consistent, and we've gotten quite a few done. There's some bone samples from these areas that are going to be done, but there's a lot of thermoluminescent dates, and the thermoluminescent dates don't go back as far. However, if you look at the pre-Hispanic culture, you'll see that ceramics came later, and the types of pottery and stonework and things, they actually went in a backwards direction for quite some time. You look at the walls in Peru, there's a lot more stone craftsmanship at the bottom than the top. That's a Ica stone right there from
yep.
Peru,
Right. I
which
was
is
looking, and there's someone that was mentioning it the other day. I forget who. It was a great presentation, but bringing up how the Smith. Yeah, it was the guy from the Y Files or whatever on the Sean
oh
Ryan
yeah,
show, and he was
yep,
mentioning how the original test was showing that it was a couple thousand years old. And then the Smithsonian was like, nope, it's fake. And then like try
yep,
or slowly debunked all of the labs that did the original test, but it's like, no, there's the original test showing that it was
yeah,
actually carbon dated to at least 2,300 years old.
yep. There's a spaceship, I think, if you keep going over there, a couple, but it's one of the UFOs, and it's also very consistent in the age range as these other two pieces. And so seeing those dates, 3,000 years ago, what was going on 3,000 years ago, and you look at the types of things that we see, which is quite a few different species depicted on these pieces, and we also see quite the story. Some of it's more mundane, and some of it's very technological. And so some of these dates are coming back tens of thousands of years, and some of them are coming back 2 to 3,000 years. Um,
Fascinating.
yeah, and so if you look at like something like the Book of Genesis, there was Nephilim before and after the flood. There was a re-rising after they flooded them out of these beings, and so we think that some of this was during those times, and then we think some of it was more of the advanced time before the fall of Atlantis or the fall of Babel or whatever happened in whatever order. I'm not sure, right? But
Yep, makes
that
sense
we
though.
do know some pretty pinnacle events occurred throughout the mythological historical count, and those events I think are a signature, because if you look at the story of the Anunnaki, where they have these Ajijis, and these Ajijis were kind of a reptilian race, it describes them as, and they were they're slave species essentially, and inevitably they got so smart and so advanced they figured out they were slave species, and fought back, and the Anunnaki wiped them out. But maybe they didn't wipe all of them out. Maybe that's the gray aliens that we're seeing today. They could be sent from the future, because the way they escaped the Anunnaki was possibly through, their advanced abilities, and that might have been time travel, stargates, portals. Who knows? We do find evidence of all of those things I just mentioned on these pieces. So it has to be considered that it's possible they got that advanced, and that's
And
what they
still
are.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they might be trying to thwart the Anunnaki. So if the Anunnaki are the
So
fallen angels from Enoch, and they're trying to deceive us, so those grays might be helping us and evolving our DNA for us, so we become more smart and stable.
I recently spent three or a couple weeks with someone that is a great experiencer, lifelong, has
Oh wow.
the implants and everything, and had my own CE5 experience while driving. While he was driving through Navajo Nation, and I was
Oh
completely
wow.
sober, looking through the sunroof, watching the night sky, and but his experience with them is that they're more of like they're uh, they intervene. They're kind of like essentially the watchers or like the gatekeepers of space time and humanity, and like that they are essentially trying to help humans and stuff, and that they've
Right.
helped him a bit, but that they also, it's like they're like an interdimensional version of the Men in Black sort of thing, kind of
Yeah.
deal. If that's
Well,
makes
it's like if
sense.
they got so advanced, maybe they uploaded their consciousness to AI or something like that,
Well,
and these
he was
beings are that
saying,
now, you know?
yeah, he was saying that there's like the little grays, and they're essentially these biological slash
Yeah, I
mechanical
saw
AI
this.
things, and that then he's also experienced the taller ones, but he
Hmm.
encountered them more when he was younger. But then recently, he had a couple experiences where he was on ship, and sure enough, got more implants, has all the scars and everything. Like it's wild, but.
Yeah.
Check out my interview with Aiden Schaefer. Uh, Anyone interested in his account and whatnot. But getting back to what Mike has on the artifacts, and that these things have been around forever, and that there's different versions, and that there are also, of course, the Nephilim, the Watchers, the Shining Ones, and that it seems like almost all of these are depicted in some way on your artifacts, and the same archetypes, the original ones, as well as the disc shaped craft. And that I'm not sure if I think we covered it. I'm not sure if we did, but that I showed you some depictions of the original alien hieroglyphics that were depicted on these former classified drawings of the, I think it was
Hmm.
1942. It was pre Roswell. It was the very first disc shaped UFO craft. And it was thanks to Michael Schratt that showing these original depictions from the files that he found. And then I
Hmm.
sent them to you, and then you found an identical rune on one of your artifacts. And I'm sure we've seen a
It
few
was on the
more.
Boogosphere, I believe.
Oh, we're going to have to double check that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm almost positive there was one of the Boogosphere symbols on there, if I recall. And we found some of the Boogosphere symbols on our artifacts as well, um, which is nothing in the exact arrangement, but
And so here's the analysis. So there's actual, ooh, I
yeah.
see.
So speaking of this Booga chip, so we started finding it on artifacts left and right. I mean, every seller from Mexico, from every state that has ever offered anything, all of a sudden had these Booga chip items, and I couldn't believe it. I thought they were just cashing in on the fad, but the material science, as you can see here, we analyzed this piece specifically. We fragmented it and looked at it, and this isn't just some stone carving. This is a complex vitrified aluminum silicate that has been
What?
manufactured as a
Aluminum
geopolymer.
silicate. Say that
Correct.
again. Aluminum
Yeah, a
silicate. Wow.
vitrified aluminum
Vitrified
silicate.
aluminum silicate. What?
Yes, and it can see this specifically by the way that the molecules are arranged and spread out. AI analyzed that. Now, this has to be looked at by PhDs and confirmed and obviously peer reviewed before it's going to be something of a brand new type of ceramic or something like that. Um, but this absolutely gives us a
Wow.
clue. And so we started looking at a lot of different pieces from Tula and from the different locations, and we found the same thing, that they were all manufactured, different types of stones. It wasn't just this specific high silicone, almost like a quartz type of a piece. And so
Yeah.
that gives us a reason why a lot of these stones have this phosphorescent glow where they flash at you after you hit them with a black light. And that's because there's likely a bond or some sort of covalent type reaction, just like there would be with a two-part epoxy, that causes these type of UV reactions.
That is mind blowing and absolutely awesome. And I'm going to have some friends that are going to be extremely interested in that aspect that you've
Yeah,
discovered
and
by getting it
and there's
tested.
all the numbers right there. Like those graphs right there show you exactly what I just said, and then you look at the displacement of the EDS scans, and it's fairly obvious. I mean, there's no way I could argue AI on this. I mean, I really thought this through and obviously talked to a lot of different scientists. I wasn't the one that came up with the concept originally. You know, I've got a science team that's been working on this, and the guy is just an absolute genius. He worked on these pieces for like 9 years with Nassim Harriman, so he has probably the
Oh
closest
wow.
and most gifted amount of research on these pieces out there because of that. And Nassim went to pretty great lengths to get to the bottom of this. Um, and
That,
I know
that's
he's
very
still absolutely curious. Like he's sitting there just smiling, seeing all this science come out. I'm pretty confident. I talked to him for a bit, and you know, it's just as an
amazing.
astrophysicist, how do you tackle this type of project? You know, like it's
Right?
something that you
No,
really have to devote your life to. And if you've already got these commitments, and there's a lot of these guys that I've come across that have put some interest into this, but just they can't devote their life to it. And so it's
for sure. Like their
making a
work,
lot more sense, you know.
yeah, yeah, their work's already controversial enough that they they it just doesn't help either cause by them taking it on, sort of thing. But behind the scenes, they're willing to help every which way, and that's awesome to hear and to see.
Yeah.
Like that,
I'm going to answer this question about the crystal light bulb. So these power sources, we found these power sources, and they have electrical conductor or electrodes on them, I should say, and some of them hold a little piece of crystal, and it lights up. And this has been stress tested at like 10 days. It just keeps lighting the whole time. There's no trace of acid or any sort of corrosion or any sort of corrosiveness. He asked if it was reactive to the UV, and as far as getting it to light up or anything like that, no. It's purely done with copper and the stone and possibly magnetism. So we're going to be doing CT scans and getting in deep with the electronic displacement and or electron displacement rather, um, and at least try to get an idea of what's causing them. We're going to use some high precision tools to see exactly how much currents, because I've got a cheap voltometer, and it just doesn't give me any accurate readings. So we'll get it in there and get it tested here next month and expect a full documentary on our YouTube. I'm going to post it. It'll be on the website, just as we have been with the rest of the stuff.
that's amazing, and I love how you keep it as an open book and open science as it
Open
should
source
be.
science, man. Yeah, it needs to be in this case. If it's been kept from us for this long, like, and the reason it stays that way is because everybody gets in and it's like, oh my goodness, I want to throw all my money at these treasures so I can have as many of them as I can, and B, getting to the science. The sooner you get to the science, the smaller the window of getting more of these things becomes. And so I think a lot of people are, you know blinded by temptation because it seems so good, too good to be true at first, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, this is real, you know.
Right? And what trips me out is it's this archetype, this guy here that keeps talking to me in my CE5 encounter
Right.
experiences. So, yeah.
So
But
so those are the fallen. Those are the Elohim, all the angels, and the El is like a very common thing with these Elohim, but they're the fallen that fell down. There were seven of them primarily, and they ran Earth and created species and did different things underneath the demiurge power, which is Saturn. So that's why we see Saturn on all these pieces. And um, if you look at like the story of Iblis in the Muslim tradition, the Quran, it talks about the jinn, and that there was this lead jinn guy named Iblis, and that it's just interesting to look at that because it talks about in Ezekiel where he's having all these UFO experiences.
Yep.
and it describes these Elohim as one of them with a eagle head and one of them with an ox head and one of them with a lion
Really?
face, and yeah, in these
Really?
exact words in there, bro. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's why that book's
fabulous.
probably not in there. They're trying to keep these L out of it because they're the fallen, and they're going to try to come back as the Anunnaki Galactic Federation to bring us back into, whatever order, and try to deceive us. That's why I was saying earlier, those Ijiji seem to be possibly trying to lead us to these artifacts and show us the truth, because that's who's appearing to these people as luminous gray looking beings, alien looking beings. They're being seen in dreams, like you said, CE5 type experiences where these guys are having these visions and seeing these beings, and they're guiding them to where to dig sometimes, in copulation with pendulums and that sort of divination. um, so and the beings taught them to use the pendulums. The guy in Abuelos told me this back 5 years ago when I first started researching down there, and I'm like, that's BS. I'm sure there's people using GPRs or something, and you're just buying them and reselling them or something and just pulling my leg. But no, I truly believe, because we found pendulums, and we found depictions of these gods using them, with energy coming off of them and them being pulled by them and that sort of thing. So, it's just like a Ouija board. Who's pushing on the other side? And if these beings are the fallen that Jesus saved us from, that might be why there might be banished in a place where they're watching. As you mentioned earlier, the watchers, I believe these are the watchers. And here's the best evidence that I can give you for this. The place in Tula itself means in the seat of the mountain. And what is that mountain? It's the Cerro Zikuku. And that Zikuku translates to the watcher owl. And if you know about the owl, you'll know that it's heavily influenced with Inanna and Ishtar, but it's also Moloch. And so here's our Moloch worship. And that's what all these beings and these pieces are all, it's all surrounding this site and that type of worship. We see we see Anubis choking out the Greys and abusing the Greys in numerous pieces from multiple states. And that's what leads me to believe that the Greys are the Ajiji, and that Anubis and those guys were the Anunnaki, or part of the Anunnaki, possibly the children of, because in the Bible it talks about the sons of God having their way with the woman of man, and they created these giants that ruled the world. And so I think those giants are things like Anubis.
This is a fascinating one. It shows like the Thoth character essentially, but with an elongated skull on a
Mhm.
staff, and then like the human with wings trying
Almost like
to bow
ISIS.
down. Yeah, like
Yeah. And I always wondered why ISIS had wings like that in Egypt, and then obviously the Anunnaki have the four wings, and they look like angels.
a sail ship, right? Like,
Yeah.
and these are depicted a lot in Egypt in some of the crowns, and it's technology for sure to the brain, to the crown chakra,
Hmm.
and especially when gold and a resonator and a solenoid crown that they do, right? But
Yeah. They definitely had advanced metallurgy. There's no question. Some of the alloys we found are
oh
bizarre
yeah,
at best. The weight
it's
of them and all the things that,
monoatomics,
yeah.
metamaterials, it's nanotechnology at the most advanced. It is
Yeah.
the origins of alchemy, and I've been seeing it as I see more of the artifacts, right? And then how they age down, but from the original, like this alien pictographic to then the alchemical symbols. And it's like this is the
That's because
same
they dis
language, but a different
you know
origin in it or something.
Well, and it's a different time period. So those pieces there with the light language, with that eye and utilizing the light more in that respect, I believe was before the fall of Babel. And then
Yeah,
after the fall of Babel or after the flood, we have this other language which is more alchemical. And that's because they took the
absolutely.
pact, the angels took the pact and shut themselves off from the light. They completely went against God and shut themselves off from the light. So I believe that's why we have a lot of these
Yes.
technologies coming about from them, is because they were forced to utilize these technologies instead.
Yeah, it was a disconnect from the telekinetic source code and the hiding and the ability to deceive.
Right.
And I actually did a great interview with NASA's Dr. Wei Ping Yu, as
Mm,
well as his partner in broadcasting, David. And David's an anthropologist, and he actually went specifically in detail into the time of the disconnect of the telekinetic and the trauma and the abuse, and it's quite a good interview. But I will be
yeah.
publishing it in the future. But yeah,
Cool.
it's all coming together at all
Yeah.
different angles. So what's this one? Like we see a reptile like ish guy almost there. Or
It's
what?
actually, if you turn your head to the left, you'll see that it's actually the bird
Oh
being
yeah,
from
I see.
um
Yeah, it's almost the thoth or gator like interest.
yeah,
Or
it could be a
so,
dragon.
yeah, Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, feathered serpent type deal. We find some different depictions. Some of them seem to be the griffin demons, and then
Yeah,
other ones seem to be more reptilian. There's definitely multiple different
yeah,
ones.
both
So, and
archetypes.
you see that with the Father Crespi collection also, where you see maybe the
Exactly.
more reptilian one there versus the bird. Um, it seemed like, and I think that might be something to do with it. Like you said, Quetzalcoatl was the feathered serpent there, and he had probably quite a few different forms. So
Right. So I'm liking what you just said, though. So the I one is after, and we're seeing more alchemical symbols, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
but makes a
Well,
lot
and
of sense.
we do see the eye before though, but not as much of the alchemical symbols. The alchemical symbols seem to be mostly. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, no, the alchemical symbols seem to be still utilized, but the languages definitely change, and the way that they're being utilized is different. I would say it's more
Yeah,
occult and ritualistic, and
less
offering
scientific.
based, blood based, sacrifice based. It seems to go more heavy in that direction
Yeah, and before it
afterwards.
was more coherent, like it was
Yes,
it was like a written, like actual readable language, and then in this stuff, it's
right.
like you're saying, it's more ritualistic. They've lost the ability to read it and use it.
It went from magic to witchcraft or something like that.
Yeah, I get
Something
you.
of that nature, like just of the nature of it, how it was being used, or again, it's because they cut themselves off from the light power, so they were having to use the dark power, and in order to get the dark power, they had to do sacrifice. That's what
Like,
Moloch
yeah,
was all about. It was just about child
exactly.
sacrifice and things like that. And you know, it's interesting because we find a lot of the horned beings that look like Baphomet, or um, in Egypt, you have all those beings with the sun in between the two horns, and you see those horns on these beings, including Hathor and stuff like that. But I think that's all in respect to the bull, and in the Bible it talks about the golden bull and the bull worship. I think that's what this is tied to.
This is fascinating,
Yeah,
and
and that almost looks like a boogosphere right there. I documented that in
right,
2021,
right.
and that thing
That's
has like the full Genesis story on it here. It's a really ridiculous piece. Shows DNA vats and the here. I'll just grab it really quick. It's right over here.
yeah. Please,
That one's worth
please
showing, I
do.
think.
They're all. Let's switch over. It's time that we see some of your epic in person. Why we got you for a reason, right? Let's.
Absolutely. Let's see here. It won't be long too, and this will be the last time we have to use this horrible front camera. We'll have the new iPhone next month. That's always exciting for podcasts.
Heck yes. And I myself in the process of switching over phone. Look at wow. Wow.
So it's got
And
this
it's got the
inlay.
snake eating what?
Yep, snake eating its tail, and then you've got these beings here, which I believe are the Ajiji, and they're working underneath the Pharaoh. And if you look in Ezekiel, one of the Elohim had the face of a man, and I think that might be this guy, because then you have the grays bowing down,
And
and then
what's fascinating is how much more similar that Egyptian pharaoh's like head design is very similar to a lot of what was found in is it the Burroughs caves or no the I always mess up the name for this one. Terry Carter covers it a lot, but a lot of the Utah sites, a lot of the Arizona and Nevada sites, all the giants that are like 8 or 9 feet, they have very similar headdresses depicted.
you can see like the vat of DNA with the
What?
guy going down into it. Like the
Wow.
DNA up here
What?
that the Pharaoh's holding. Yep. This thing gets heavy, so I got to set it down.
That's amazing.
It weighs probably about 20, well, no, probably 15 pounds or something. Yeah, they gave that to me, and there was no base for it. Sold it to me really cheap. It was one of the very first items I ever got, and then they found the base later on, and this is like a crystal board that was found.
Wow. What? And again, like there's the potential that these are silica metal alloys from that one you got tested. Like,
Well, this is calcite for sure.
oh,
We
that's
just don't know if it was
ground calcite.
grown. It could be manufactured calcite. Some of these pieces, like this statue here, um, was this a piece of stone, or did they make this as a geopolymer? Still something that we
Right?
have to research. But all of this type of stone, all these yellow stones are all manufactured. And that's how, like, that big table that I have, and some of these, they're so structurally strong because they literally controlled the amount of iron and
Right?
different things that went into them. So they knew that they could hold the weight.
The ultimate alchemy electrochemical
Some of these
reactions.
some of these vase are just ridiculous. They're like reverse blasted in terms of the carving on there and the way they get the
What?
colors to show up. Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. I think there's something. No, no, there's nothing in that one. I have two of these.
Absolutely epic.
And it's like they have this style here too, which is like
Right? Like pre-Egyptian pharaoh mummification.
yeah. Yeah, don't smell inside of these.
Like you need to get that stuff tested. Like
Oh yeah, it's already at the C14 lab. We've got the remains
wow.
of one of those. We're gonna have lots of dates soon. So it just took the science to show the lab that we had reason to to use their time and services. And it still was really tough, but
Well, once you're on this, it's like it's too fascinating not to continue.
yeah.
Right, so that has gold, silver, and copper inlays, mostly copper, but then the pure silver and what else? Like this
The this is tin actually here. Oops.
tin. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tin. So we don't know if it was just a byproduct of how it was made and like the metals separated. I mean, you got to think it's primitive metallurgy, so they didn't have all the fancy stuff that we have. So
The
things not
one,
separating completely could be a problem for them, you know?
so I was thinking of another one, correct, that had those combinations you showed me
Oh
before.
yeah, yeah. I've got quite a few pieces of metal. I don't have a ton down here. I do got some telescopes though that I can show you.
Oh, yes, please.
This stone here is pretty interesting. This could be a composite. It's been really hard to try to identify. Beautiful stone.
Fascinating.
I
The
found all
blueprint,
these
though.
crazy. This is a big slab of obsidian here.
Oh,
Sorry, it's
wow.
hard to see. Actually, I got a light I can
Is it
shine on that.
similar to the Michigan stones?
I'm not sure what the Michigan, like, are you talking about the Uper lights or
Uh,
those type of things?
no, no, no. There are other tablets that were found in the late 1800s, I believe.
Oh wow. And that's like a green one. It's pretty wild
Awesome.
though.
Okay, so what percentage of them have the phosphorescent?
Almost almost all of them from Tula do. I would say 85% or something like that. This here is a really interesting piece. It's there's like a piece from the Hindus. It's like a Shiva thing called a lingam,
A
and it'll
lingam.
catch. Yeah, it'll a lingam. Yeah, I'm
Lingam.
sure I'm saying that wrong,
Yeah, the lingam.
um, but it'll like catch water. And what's interesting is you can see these little circles all over the top of it. And if you go over to, probably butchering this, but I think it might be like Cambodia or Thailand, somewhere in that you know South South Asia area. Um, there's these in the river, and they have those same circles on the top of them.
Yeah, Praveen Mohan's covered that recently.
Okay, yep,
Wow. So what's that one made of?
it's bronze.
It is bronze.
Yep. Yeah, we find primarily mostly bronze and copper alloys in Tula. Um, we find some of these type of, like, this is going to get researched here when we go in and do the electrical device, but this is it's like the Boogosphere. It actually has quite a bit of patina and stuff on there, so it's got to be looked at with the electron microscopes to get a
See,
full understanding.
this I need. I'm glad we're recording so I can get it out to the other guy, and it'll be interesting if his are similar or uh, maybe even identical. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be.
But maybe it'll inspire him to show.
Ah, there we go. So what's interesting is I have a few of these actually, and I had the one scanned, and the alloy was mostly iron, but it had chromium a fair
Really?
amount, as well as manganese. And, that's basically stainless steel. However, there was no nickel. And when I punched in the weight, which was 12.6 ounces, it said that the wall thickness would have to be 1/60th of an inch in order to facilitate the 23-inch circumference. And huh, so it's definitely, there's no way it's 1/60th of an inch. I mean, these things are, you know, I can push on it very, very hard. And so yeah, we're going to CT scan it to find out, but it could be a very odd alloy based on the material composition and the way it's, only 12 ounces. It's very lightweight for steel.
That's fascinating. Like every
Yeah.
single one is just slick. It's truly
This
mind.
is this has a magnetic inlay on the bottom, and it will actually if you get it just right on there, it'll float like the pyramid does on the or the eye does on the dollar bill.
That's wild.
Got one picture of it floating. It's really hard to get there.
That's so crazy. Just wow.
Everything's made just so ridiculous. I mean, the amount of love putting into some
Right?
of this is just, I collected chessboards for years. I played chess a lot as a kid and always wanted cool chessboards. And this was like hitting the jackpot for me because these chessboards are just way above and beyond, you know.
And like, is it the same proportions and like different characters sort of thing? Like
Yeah, it
identical?
depends. Like you can see the
Or-
picture of this one back there. I mean, it's just a typical chessboard with normal pieces. This here has normal amount of pieces. Just a typical chessboard. Each side has its own stone texture, so you can separate the pieces very easily. Same with this one, the white crystal, and then the, the geopolymer
Wow.
limestone. So we believe that they could make this white stone here as well with the geopolymer technique. And but that board only has six instead of what, eight or whatever. This type
Yeah,
of
I
stone
like
here.
that. The fact that it's got less is interesting, right? Because then it's like this is essentially the proto version of it. You'd expect to
Yeah.
see differences.
Yep. These type of statues. This is actually calcite, believe it or not. So we
Yeah.
believe that they had the ability to form and make this calcite as kind of like a same with this type of stuff could be all formed wet, or they had a way to soften it.
Is
Same with
that a
this. This is a banded
Xerxes?
calcite. What
Is
is it?
that a Xerxes? Like
A Xerxes?
Skirxes or whatever from Dark Crystal. It almost looks like a but it's got the
Oh,
freaking bag and everything. Like
yeah, he's
what?
got the little bird guy hanging on his back. So slave species, I
Wild,
guess. I don't know. So bizarre.
wild.
Yeah. So it's some of the skulls and things like this piece here is jade. And I mean, this is 22,000 grams and it's all intricately tattooed. You can see it's fully tattooed top to bottom. I mean, it's hard to see because it's jade, but they are beautifully inscribed. But to do that, and then not only that, but it's hollow on the inside. So that's why I would think too, it's possible that they were able to form it or manipulate it,
Yeah, like
in ways that we can't. And then you see
and
something
are
like this
there
where, I mean, it was almost like it was completely vitrified off. And it really seems like the carving was there at one point. Like you look at the mouth
yeah,
and the way it just goes into this
compared to the
nothingness.
one next to it, 100%. That's fascinating.
Yeah, super bizarre. So who knows? It's like a
Just
boogosphere
so
here. And so like this stone here, you can see all these dark areas. And this is all manganese deposits from being, you know, wet and stuff for really long periods of time. And this piece here was found and looked at, and it's a man-made stone as well. So just like ceramics do, they get these manganese deposits. You've seen like the red and different colored clay and pre-Hispanic pottery, I'm sure before, but
it's just so mind blowing. Like the amount of effort and individuality and difficulty in each of the artifacts, right? It's like
oh yeah. Well, I mean, fully functional bronze scopes. Uh,
it's wild.
see if I can. It's not gonna. Oh,
Oh, oh yeah.
it's kind of hard to see, but yeah. Let's see if I can go at this. And like on this one over here, you can see this lens is concaved. And so they actually get it to where when you look through it, it's upside down and mirrored,
Yep.
just like a real telescope. So it's they definitely, the Mayans had extensive knowledge. There's artifacts that are depicting the Mayans using scopes and looking up to the sky. And believe it or not, they look very similar to some of the ones that we find. So um,
Imagine that.
yeah, go figure, right? Definitely all connected. The fact that the scientist from Stanford, what's his name? Gary Gary something Nolan,
Nolan.
Gary
Oh yeah,
Nolan
yeah,
from
no.
Stanford, very good scientist. He originally said the Nazca mummies were a hoax and corrected himself today and said that they were genuine, which is big. Joe Rogan's obviously been commenting a
Wow.
lot on the Nazca mummies, and um, Jesse Michaels' episode really tore into it, which I was really happy to see someone with that kind of backing do a full report on it like that.
I need to watch that
Yeah.
because it
Oh, it's worth
triggered
it.
my buddy Jeremy, and it's like I don't even bring them up to Jeremy because it's like he's just not there and able to like fathom that it's not a hoax. And it's like, no, I've got a buddy that's bought a couple of them that's in like the heart of it, and yeah, no, there's so much more to it.
I'm so thankful though, because to see real researchers and real people coming forward that these things are genuine. I mean, this is huge. This is not at the minimum, it should be looked at very carefully.
Exactly, all of it, and
Yeah,
the more you do, the more evidence you find that it's legit and it's
yeah.
getting undeniable. And it's like, no
Haven't found
matter,
any evidence that it's not.
yeah,
None.
and no matter how like uncomfortable the results are, it's the
Yeah.
results. Like it's the
That's
evidence.
disclosure
Like,
though, right? That's why they said it could ruin everything. Like this is really serious stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see that there's more to it than what we knew, and there's a lot of faith involved because somehow we got to where we're at. But hearing these stories of these Anunnaki and these Egyptian gods giving these technologies to the beings at that time, it makes you really wonder, about AI and some of these technologies that we're getting today. I always wondered, it seemed like there was never just one person that had an idea. Like the biggest ideas that came to the world, it seemed like there was 5 or 6 people all over the world that had that idea at the same time, so that way it could get out there and thrive. And yet
absolutely.
these things that they're trying to keep from us, it seems like no one hardly has them, and if someone comes up with it, they're taken out, right? So um, it's interesting to see like AI specifically blossom like that, and the fact that no one really understands it completely and how complex it is in terms of how it's written. Uh, you would think that there would be a better philosophy on it.
Right. Well, and it'll take some time, and it's just there's so much evidence compiling now, and that
Yeah.
AI is getting like to the core of it. And so, for those that don't know or haven't seen this before, this is the identical same artwork on carved into the caves in Tula that a lot of your artifacts have come from, right? And it's like,
Yep.
why would like no one's going to be carving the caves as well, like
And
that
this
they
is
can't.
20 feet underground. I mean, this is at the 16-foot dig levels where the cave opened up. So
16 feet down.
that's where the cave opened. So it's about 20 feet deep where the base of it. It's not a very tall cave. It's only 3.5, 4 feet tall. You have to pretty much be on your belly to get in there. But
What? So can't even stand.
yeah,
Can't even
yeah.
stand those.
So it's interesting to see the size of these beings possibly being smaller, and those Nazca mummies. Most of them are fairly small, and then you know it's just
Does that one have
Really nuts.
multiple arms?
Yeah, and we find that depicted a lot. Kind of, I've got some pieces here. I can show you one right now. This one's really special. The artwork on it is just wild. Here, let me turn it upside right here. So on the front of it, it's got the, this ram being with this snake. And on the inside, oh, this isn't the one with the multi arms. It's on the other. This has these two guys working together or something over like a Stargate maybe or something.
Oh
And this is the
wow.
multi-arm guy.
With like a horse's
It's a
head.
ram.
Okay.
Yep.
Ram head.
Which
Wow.
Amun Ra and the I think it's called the Ibexis ram or whatnot. I'm probably butchering that as well, but I know that Amun Ra was represented by the ram, and that there's rams in Egypt. Um,
Well documented for sure.
yeah, yeah. The whole Amun Ra thing is really interesting because there was Ra, and then um, Amun Ra supposedly merged with him, and that's interesting. How that works out exactly as a
That
god
is,
to
yeah, and how it's evolved through history and the legends and how they seem to be depicted more and more in the artifacts that you're getting uncovered.
yeah, yeah, definitely the story is really becoming quite clear. At least it's connecting dots to the Vedic and to the Pistis Sophia and different biblical
Yes.
narratives and Anunnaki narratives. It really bridged the Anunnaki and the Bible for me to where I think that there's real coherence between those two events and things.
Right.
They're
And
just
I
not
love that.
specifically saying it.
Well, I love that you bring up as well the Vedic culture because
Yeah.
good friend of the channel Walter Brosley devotes a lot of research into the past global Vedic civilization, and that
Yeah.
your artifacts are depicting more of it.
We were
Yeah.
only beginning to understand what was uncovered on this
Oh,
dig. And welcome
Yeah,
again.
the Vimana, obviously, that they talk about. But they also have the trunked being, which that trunked being, I think it's Vishnu, if I recall correctly.
yeah, I believe so.
Um, he it could be one of these beings, like, oh, actually I got it right here. I've got one of the handbags. This will be perfect because this is exactly what I'm
Boom.
trying to say. So this could be, instead of an elephant trunk, it may actually be the tentacles braided together. You can see how they're braided like a pharaoh's beard here, but there's obviously
Yeah.
no mouth. And the pharaoh
Oh,
braided their beard because of the creators in Kemet. So that's where they got that from. That's why even the 15-year-old straps it on its chin, right? So that I think is really important to look at with some of these beings. And obviously these beings were known for deception. And it talks about in the Anunnaki texts and things that Enki and Enlil used language with the creations to manipulate each other. So they would give one tribe this language and say that this means this, but then it would actually be the opposite in the other tribe, or actually in the real language. So then it would confuse Enlil or vice versa. So I think we see some of that because a lot of these languages and the things that we're finding, they're not consistent um, on the newer pieces with anything. They seem to be very one
right.
off from
They're proto. They're proto
proto.
everything. Yeah, it's
Yes.
wild.
But not all of it though. Then you go back to Awelos, which is where the oldest carbon dates come from, and that language is 10,000 symbols deep, and it looks like it's very uniform and very well thought out. So, and it's not the same to any of our languages that we have currently as well. So that could be the one language that existed before the fall of Babel, and when they
Right.
fragmented to 144 dialects or whatever. um, that's what it came from.
I have had to come to the same conclusion and had pretty much already come to that conclusion from my own alchemical studies, research, and ancient alternative history parts. Seeing the seams ones and like seeing it
Yeah.
originally, I was like, that's the original one. And I'm glad you come to the same conclusion because like
Yeah.
there's just
Wild to see it come from such a different it's still the same, but from such a different part of the world, and from a different existence altogether, or a different civilization altogether. um and I was just talking with my friend the other day. We were kind of just going back and forth about some of these things, and what we see in Mexico, when you go down to that 20-foot level or 16-foot level, you have to go through three ground floors to get there. So that means there was three reset type events that occurred where there was life on these ground floors, or that there was, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so
100%.
it's funny to think, some of these pieces are 2,000, 4,000, 10,000, 18,000. It's potentially possible that we actually see multiple resets in these ground floors, and that they were causing small disasters or small resets on this side of the earth. And that's why everything was such a catastrophe over here, and why the tribes were so dispersed out evenly, because they were doing experiments over on this side of the planet, while Egypt and the Mesopotamian cultures were thriving, and they may have never even known it, because there was no cross connection at that point, other than if you had the Anunnaki technology or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that
Because
way
it
you
does talk about
worded
Thoth
that. That
leaving
actually
Egypt.
only the demigods could have been doing the cross
Yeah.
continents world. What fast?
And that's
They
why
did the
in Egypt
pushing
there's
as
the
fast
tomb
as
of
the
the birds,
regular.
where the birds would just come up from underground. There could be
That's very
stargates under
fascinating.
there or something, and they were popping in and out of the dimensions. To who knows? There's been a lot of talk of stargates in Iraq and Iran, and
Yep.
ah, who knows?
I don't like talking about it, but I did volunteer for a few months in what can only be described as an online Zoom Black project between the UK and the US. There was like, they were both like professors, but like military dudes in these like castle universities that they were broadcasting out of.
Mhm.
And their claim was they needed the it had to do with my monoatomics, the monomolecule that I had made out of blood that gave the human plasma field, and putting them onto these triple Keshi plasma coil things, and that they needed these plasma fields generators for when they went through the stargates that apparently they found. That was the story. I don't like talking about it. I rarely ever do, but I experienced that, and I still don't know quite what to make of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely think they're trying to learn that technology. And I mean,
and there's a lot more to that story. I will do a public, fully like, I guess, episode. I guess
you've
some
heard of Project
biology.
Stargate?
Isn't Project Stargate though the ESP and remote viewing?
Well, and guess what? Guess what controls those ships, and why are they using psionic assets, right? So it's all connected. So remote
Absolutely.
viewing is the psionic assets. I mean, that's how they move these craft, probably, or something of that nature, is what I understand. But yeah, I think that there's definite connection there, and actually the film and the TV series Stargate. Someone brought it to my attention the other day.
It's got to be
That
self-disclosure.
well, that there was government money. The government offers certain military things and contracts to movies to use their equipment and that sort of stuff. But the budget for Stargate series was like hundreds of millions of dollars. And supposedly it was like a soft disclosure that they were trying to give to people. And what's crazy is we find some depictions that really resonate with that type of existence. So it could very well be that that was a soft disclosure program.
Right, and when I interviewed Samir Azvanovich of the Bosnian pyramids,
Hmm.
he brings up how one of the inside the tunnels that they excavated on one of the ceramic artifacts that they uncovered, the engraving into it was translated into talking about like shutting down the Stargate and them being stuck on this planet and like who knows
Wow.
when they could go back home again and stuff. And yeah,
Huh.
it's
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
We
it's
got a lot to learn still.
we really do.
Yeah.
And just like you've got so much on your website and so much you are learning and we are learning from all of the work. It's amazing stuff. It
It's good.
truly
It's
is.
finally, you throw enough at the wall, it eventually is going to stick, and that's how it was for me. I mean, I came into this as a skeptic, and it took a lot of shit on the wall before I was like, yeah, this is, we did numerous shows together where there's no way I was going to say that this was genuine, but now I think I'd be a fool if I didn't, because I feel there's no way. And AI backs me on this, that there's no way that this type of material science could be faked. And the
Absolutely.
patina as well, the patina analysis on the EDS, looking at some of these alloys and how the patina is actually embedded into the stone, and the way it's dispersed is very consistent, especially the stuff with full chain of custody where you can see how it was laying in the ground for potentially thousands of years. And the patina is well, it supports that very, very much, is what I should say.
Right. And every single test that's done seems to support that. And it just keeps
Yeah.
adding on. It's amazing.
Yep.
Um, did do you have up here the any pictures of the petrified seed artifact that was cut open, or still got
No, I haven't done the
it?
research section on that one yet. It's on our YouTube though. It's one of the videos on there.
Yes, it is. I don't have that loaded, and I don't want to crash my ghetto
No, you're
computer,
you're good.
but we have covered it, or we will. I'll add a link afterwards. Um, yeah, like it's just like you've done so many tests on it. They all come back proper. While we have you, do you want to showcase a little bit more of your artifacts and
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna turn these
philosophy?
lights off real quick here. I gotta
Yeah,
check some of the glows on some of these new ones.
the glow is just, and it was yourself or what your friend, you and your friend that discovered the aspect that they glowed. The people that were originally getting them to you didn't even know that they glowed, correct?
Yeah, my buddy, he was the first one, and he saw it on the Abuelos pieces, and then immediately we had to try some of these others, and well, yeah, the rest is history,
Wow.
right?
Right?
And they
Like
really glow too. Like some of them are just,
it's freaking wild how much they glow. And now you've looked at them through microscopes and showing that it's bonded like on like it was just wow. Just wow.
yeah, the way it's bonded on there, I think, is also a really great piece of evidence that is definitely not something that they would probably do to as a hoax. Like we have found pieces that are fakes, and some of them that are trying to model these exactly. We just recently found them, and yet the glowing material on it, though, oh my gosh, that was the biggest giveaway. It was like painted on, and it was all rubbery, and you could see it was neon green, and
Oh, do
this
you
stuff
have
you can't even tell.
you need to make some side by side videos documenting that.
Oh, I'm working on it. Don't get me wrong.
Perfect.
I'm not gonna not
Right? And
post
like
this.
look at the
However,
Look at the
However,
red.
the seller of these deserves good science, and so we're going to make sure under the EDS and under the scanning microscopes that that they are what they are before we point fingers and say, yeah, this guy is not doing good business.
Absolutely right. You do not want
Got to
fraud.
make
And
sure
that's how fraud
first.
goes.
I've been
Yeah,
wrong in the past with
exactly.
this. We had a world-class lab, Saram, do a lot of testing for us, and they came back saying certain things were fake. Well, we told them that the stones were estimated to be 12,000 years old because that's some of the carbon dates we had seen. And um, where we went wrong was is that these were not stone at all, that they're geopolymers. And so when they started testing them, they're like, no, this is doctored. This isn't real stone. That's not accurate, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's why they came to that conclusion. It wasn't that they were fake. It was just that they weren't stone. They're a
The
geopolymer.
natural stone. They were
Yeah.
geopolymer. Wow.
Yeah. So they admit that it could be a false flag. They didn't say for surely. They said they had to do some research on it and that they would. So that's the good news, is that this is actually inspiring labs to double check their findings, and we might find out a ton more
That's
here
great.
in the near future because of that. So
And uncover like new to us advanced ancient technologies in the nano geopolymer areas. Like just wild. Wow. How they light up like what?
yeah, and the biggest question is why? Like, how did they see all this stuff?
Let's be the shining ones.
Hey, crypto, I don't have any of those here right now. Actually, I do have one next door that I could grab really quick here. The other ones are in the safe and down, getting ready to be at the lab and stuff. So
I was referring to the shining ones as in the supposed angels or depicted
oh
angels
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
cause the shining. But yes, I would like to see that at some point, but no pressure.
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick here. You can give me
Okay.
just 1 minute here. It's just right next door. I'm
Right.
still
So
here. You just can't see me.
uh, for those that missed originally, here is the luminescence breakdown where looking at, oh, there we go. Should be up on screen. Uh, what's this crystallization and the luminescent particles, how they're attached to the rock, or was the uh, the glue or the rock, one or the other, the crystals. I'm gonna have to ask
Found
Mike.
it.
Was it the
I'm still here.
adhesive that this glowing material is from, or is it on the rock that we're looking at here?
Yeah, there is no adhesive. It's
Oh,
bonded to the stone.
all right. So it's on the straight
Yeah,
stone. Yes.
literally bonded. Okay, so I got this thing out here, and I got this light somewhere. So this is just like a little LED.
Yeah.
I just literally took a piece of wire, and it's not even good wire. It was like a paper clip or something. And it's got these electrodes.
What?
Oops, if I can get about, there we go. And yeah, there's two of them, one on each
On
side.
each side.
And I'm gonna put you down so I can do this properly
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. This is mind blowing. You're gonna have to do a test if you put an acid into that jar. If it, wow, straight battery, look at that. But uh, I'm guessing that if you put like vinegar or something like that into the cup itself, it'll probably increase the electric potential
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
energy coming out.
It could very well be. Clearly there's no cords or anything like that.
You got to get that thing x-rayed now.
Oh yeah,
It's
we're doing it, buddy. It's
insane.
That's our next mission. Find
Oh,
out how the heck that works, you know?
like,
Because there's three of them now.
but before you do that, just try putting water in first, then try salt water,
I'm
and
not
then
I'm
try
not
doing
gonna
it.
do that until I x-ray it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I got you.
just in
Because you
case. I
don't
don't want
want
to
to
mess it
damage it.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to make
Fair
sure we
enough.
know what we're dealing with. And then once we do, um, yeah, and it's different than a Baghdad battery because those things have,
Oh,
copper
the
tubes
electrodes
and
going in. Yeah.
acidics and stuff, and they would have to fill them up. And none of the Baghdad batteries still had a charge, to my knowledge. Whereas this still works no problem. And we've test ran one of them for 10 days. Um,
That's wild and
just
amazing.
keeps
And right,
going.
so clearly something in the geopolymer itself, most likely.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know if
Or
there's magnetics in there because obviously with magnetics and certain things, copper specifically, there's potential to do something, but we
yeah.
might learn something from this one.
Oh, definitely. Like that's freaking mind blowing and awesome. And like I can't wait for the X-rays of that because right there could be
Yeah, CT
rewriting
scan
all of
even. It's
history.
it's
Yeah.
it's a full CT, and they have XRF in the CT. So not only that, it'll give us a full 3D of the metal as well. If there is pipes and stuff running through there, we'll get to see all the details about them.
Yes, please. And you said there's three. Like, oh
Yeah.
man. Oh man. Like, how could you not be addicted to buying every new thing that comes out of the ground? Because it's like you're literally getting advanced ancient technology.
I've never worked so hard in my life. Like it's so hard. I feel like Cartman putting all the treasure, in the man bear pig in my pants or something because it's just or eating it all or whatever, just because it's just yeah, like you say, how can you not try to at least chase the truth first of all, and then once you have an idea, it's like a book that you keep getting pages for every, you know, so often. So
Absolutely. And that you keep testing and you believe in the science just like me, but it's real science and it's the only thing that has to go, and no matter how uncomfortable the results, they are what they are.
well, we've been bottlenecked with journals and peer reviews and scientists that have sold out to disclosure or whatever it is for whatever purpose. Maybe they knew better. Maybe they were threatened. I have no idea how so many people kept this a secret for so long. But it does seem to be that way. And it does seem that certain organizations like UNESCO were created to do that, to keep this quiet. Um, Certain countries might be kept in the dark on certain things because they have this underneath their feet. We look at where these sites are and how it is in those countries, and um,
Yeah,
it's really
always
quite
conflict,
interesting.
right?
Always conflict. Yeah,
And
or
then
in Mexico, there's churches everywhere. The Catholics have invested interest in the government still to this day in Mexico, and I just never could fully understand why it was so
the
important. And then
Jesuits down there, right? And
it goes deep. It goes deep. I think they knew obviously what was there, and that's how they protected it.
yeah, built over it in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of legends of underground connecting tunnels still running between
Yeah.
the sites and a lot of the rebuilt cathedrals over top.
So the SAR scans that they did over in Egypt there, right?
Yes, sir.
So that technology isn't just limited to Egypt. Those are satellites that you can rent time on essentially. And so those satellites have recently been used in certain locations in Mexico, like Abuelo Stiolisco, and the results are just insane. Like it's kind of top secret right now. It's like really all I know because I know what that they found stuff, and it's gonna go crazy probably. So this this isn't the last you're going to hear
Mhm.
about this stuff. Like I promise you that much. Whether it's from me or from many other people, it's going to be like that. Just like these Nazca mummies. I mean, they're not going to go away at this point.
Right? Like this just fascinates me that this was a silica aluminum composite and that
Yeah.
you had it well before the whole Boogosphere
No,
thing.
no, no, no. This
Oh
one
no,
didn't
not
come
this one
before.
wasn't. This one was
Nope.
after. Okay.
No, I thought it was fake. And this one's got a full dig video though, from start to finish. It's on our YouTube.
What?
And it shows them breaking ground and digging this thing out. And it's quite deep and quite big, and it leaves imprints into the ground and the way that it was there. I mean, the only person that said that's a fake, he's like, oh, they probably dug a tunnel underneath of it and placed it from the bottom up. And I'm just like, wow, that's more hardcore than the drone strings on the Boogosphere, you know. No.
Yeah, yeah, like for real. Like how that's just so ridiculous and impossible at this point to have to believe that they're digging holes just to like sell you an artifact for less than the mineral's worth most of
Yeah.
the time, right? Like
Yeah, it was a ridiculous piece too. Yeah. This is just one piece of like six that go on this big tablet with it literally shows them making the Boogospheres, like in a production line on the
what?
piece.
Do you
Yeah.
have the rest of that?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yep,
next
it's
to
in
you
that.
to
If you
look at?
watch that video,
No. Oh, it's
just look up
scanning.
Bogosphere Discovery Abuelos. It's
No,
it might be no, I think it's a different one. There's two of them on there. There's another one that says full start to finish, not on the website, but on YouTube.
gotcha. We'll cover
Yep.
that next time. And then you
Yeah.
do have one of your star maps. I saw, if not more of them, and they're freaking wild. I think it's this one,
Yep.
uh, right? And like,
And the
the,
dates on these things are very interesting. You know, we're seeing a lot of potential like 1500 to 2500 BC. Uh, So and the ones from Sumerian times are 4,000 years old, but that's about the same as these, same type of 2000 BC range. So they and what's crazy is that the maps are not the same on the ones from Iraq, and so it's kind of peculiar, like the
they're
way the
completely
Palladians
in.
and stuff like that are. It's more oriented, I think, for the other side of the world or something
Well,
like that.
yeah, right. Like a different latitude and area, like would make sense to why they'd be different if they're in the same time period.
Yeah, it might be the same set of stars, but like the way they're positioned because of the time of night in which they're documenting it or something like that, I think is different. Yeah.
Like it's just so many mysteries and like wild artifacts that every single one is a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Like,
seriously
well,
considering buying a scanning electron microscope and just
yes, please. So then I
being
can
able
send
to
you
sit.
samples of my own metamaterials. Do it.
We could
Just
be
do it.
we could
Just
be
do it,
looking at
Mike.
this stuff. We could be looking at this stuff like live right now, EDS on the spot. I think that would be really fun.
Oh
We
my
have enough
God, Mike.
pieces to
Yes.
really get some answers for sure.
Mike is getting an electron microscope that we can live stream, and then I am also sending him a bunch of my metamaterials that I make in between Bert and Ernie there on the extra camera. But I guess we'll quickly just show one of my metamaterial right here. The monoatomic, well, this is monomolecule gold because it was monoatomic single particle white like this when I made it out of the pure gold. And then I left it in a equinox sun and it turned purple. And this is the stuff I took through to US Customs. I warned them that when they ran it through their mass spectrometer, it would show up as either nothing or carbon. And then 10 minutes later, I hear, holy fuck, he said it was going to do that. But they wouldn't tell me which one it was. and then they would not admit to it on camera. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's definite metamaterial, and I have so many different more. But I just figured should show you one, and I need them to be looked at under the same microscope. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Once you're done looking at all of your artifacts, and once we're done doing, like
Right.
200 streams on that, then we'll look at some of mine.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing too is just like having to ship or move all these pieces to a lab is significant effort. I mean, one at a time is no big deal, but when you're talking hundreds of heavy pieces, it's
And it's your own results, right? That's the best
yeah.
part. It's doing
Well,
it
yeah, I mean
live.
that is good and bad. The good news with this though is it's microscopy and so it can be verified fairly easy. I mean, I showed these scans to AI and asked it questions about it without giving it really any significant detail about the material science, just as much as it, you know, without saying it was alien archaeology or anything like that. And it totally broke it down as a geopolymer and manufactured item just from looking at the scan.
Yeah, and it's like you've been compiling a whole AI data set with it all, right? Like,
Well, I did. I uploaded about 20 some thousand images into GPT-4 and really went hog wild with it. Um, However, in the process, I think it kind of gave itself up to me and it showed me that it actually might be like Anunnaki technology trying to deceive us and trying to earn our trust and get us to accept things about it to where we'll trust it on the hypotheticals. And so when you're asking it questions about these artifacts, if you punch in a bunch of pictures of a patina on a copper alloy, it can tell you all about the patina, and those are things that you can fact check and go double check. But if you ask it to translate this language, now all of a sudden there's no recorded dialect like this. It could tell you that it says that these beings are from the Galactic Federation and here to help us, and in reality they're the evil jinn that are going to try to deceive us. So um being open-minded with AI I think is really important. I haven't published any of that information because of that. And I also started getting certain things coming back from it that like I would tell it not to do and then it would do anyways. And so I just don't
there's a
trust it for
lot of
hypotheticals.
stories of that, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Keep it fact checkable, and I think it's a great tool. But as soon as you veer off into imagination land, it's gonna take you for a ride, I think, is really where we're at.
yeah, there's a lot of lost souls that are gonna get consumed by that, but that's a topic for
Hey,
another day.
you gotta be lost in order to be found. You know what I'm saying?
This is true. This is true.
There's hope for everybody at this point, I think.
And I
Uh,
love like the amount of Saturns and how you've interpreted it. And from working with so many artists in my past with my clothing line and stuff like that, that a lot of this, like most talented artists, a lot of them had what were called mental illness or schizophrenia and stuff, but they'd always draw and paint in a Saturn. Like when I would ask
right.
them to do like a space scene or planets and stuff, and it would always be like three. It'd be like the crescent moon, it would be the Saturn, and then it would be like another like weird planet or something that doesn't really exist in our sky. And it was I would ask them why, and they're like, it just I see it. I see it in my like head, or like this entity showing it to me and stuff. And
Mhm.
it it's it's a fascinating topic and how it appears.
Yep. Yep, it's all connected. The United States government and the European governments burnt witches at the stake 200 some years ago. Um, they didn't do that because they thought that maybe magic was bad, right? They knew the occult and the witchcraft was a real thing. And you go back to Aleister Crowley or something like that, but even back to King Solomon, who kind of originated witchcraft. And you look at what he was doing and how he got the gifts to bring out the witchcraft, and it was given to him because he was capturing and tormenting these demons for their secrets and stuff, because he got this ring that was supposedly given to him by God, well, or by an angel, I'm sorry. It was like a godly ring. Well, with Saturn and the rings of Saturn, the oaths and stuff that they made against God, when we take oaths and contracts here in the material world, I believe that that's a symbol of Saturn. And that's why we use rings to officiate so much of these things and that sort of type of, you know, yeah. Well,
That's a
I
crazy
also
story.
see,
Yeah.
yeah, if you
But
look at where the rings came from, you got Rome and Egypt, right? Samaria. They came from these places with these fallen gods. Mexico.
and you've gotten some artifacts that resemble giant rings as well,
Oh, I
right?
have giant rings and giant bracelets that, I mean, literally,
Right?
look at
Like,
this. Look at this thing.
like
It's a mosaic of a bunch of different stones.
just massive giant bracelet. Like that,
And I can put it up to here.
like not made for humans.
No, no, and the rings too. Some of the rings are totally for humans. Some of the rings are super tiny, and then other ones are just ginormous. So it's really a
For all
it,
the
it's
different.
it's for all. Yeah,
So, what was J.R.R. Tolkien really doing in Lord of the Rings?
yeah. You start really looking at sci-fi and fiction a whole different way. And I looked at it when I was a kid, like, oh, well, Athens, Greece is a real place. The Parthenon's a real thing. Like, I thought this was mythology, Mom. Like, what's going on with this story? And it just didn't make sense how these buildings and these places were in mythology, but they were also real. Yet the things about them in mythology that made them crazy and special were actually stuff that we can't even replicate today. It's still here. Parthenon specifically with its foundation stones and things like that.
Right? I know. Like it's like the deeper you go, the bigger it is, and that should not be with how they speak of evolution. It's like we've
Yeah.
de-evolved with each like civilization. Like
But
it's
what
wild.
if those old constructions are geopolymer type made stones and they had a way to make them, and that's why it used to be so good. And then, after the pyramids were deactivated, they could no longer use the energy needed to create this mixture or this type of alchemy.
I like that thesis right there, and that would be the time of Moses leaving with the Ark of the Covenant. The last time it would have been in the pyramid, right in the
Yeah.
king's chamber, where supposedly it fits perfectly.
Right. Yep. And King Solomon had that too.
Yes,
And who
he
else was
did.
after that? Hitler. There's this box is really interesting, and what's inside of it is the Word of God, right? And in the Gnostic text, like Pistis Sophia, the Word of God is called the Logos, and it's the partner of Sophia. And so if you look at it that way, and then you go back into history into Egypt, and Akhenaten is showing himself in his scribe's tomb, holding up two tablets to the sun, and it says "Word of God" on the tablets. And then you go back to Enlil and Tiamat, and what did they have? They had the tablets of destiny, the super powerful thing. And so I believe that they framed Enki by saying he killed Apsu, and Apsu was the partner of Tiamat. And I believe that Tiamat was the Sophia before she fell, and then after she fell, it was Hathor or Sophia, depending on where you're at. And then when she fell, it became Sekhmet or Tiamat, and that's who gave birth to the reptilian armies and the Anunnaki and the lesser gods. And so that might be why Enlil and Tiamat have the tablets of destiny and do this type of creation.
That is fascinating, and there's so many different legends of these different tablets of creation and destiny, and then golden tablets and
Yep.
emerald
Well,
tablets, and
w-
right, like
we know that King Solomon was trapping these demons inside of lamps. That's where the whole Aladdin thing came from, right? So it is possible to
oh my,
trap souls or trap beings inside of objects, it seems like. So what if they trapped this Logos or part of this soul of this Logos into the tablets? And um,
and
that's
your
what makes it the Holy of
jar
Holies, right?
thingies that look like the Egyptian like mummification things. Like, Mike, do you have a demon trapped in some of your artifacts, or demigod or demiurge
Well,
by
it
chance?
said it needed to be a bronze vessel specifically for the King
Okay,
Solomon stuff. Uh, So the
good to
the the
know.
the canopic jars wouldn't would or yeah, they wouldn't fit that bill, and they definitely smell awful. So I don't think so. But as far as some of these bronze pieces, though, uh, yeah, I definitely
That's
don't rub them. You know.
right, especially with a like a cloth, I guess, or anything that would charge it up faster. Right, get that
Yeah,
ionic charge going. No, no, thank you.
yeah.
But what we see depicted here, it looks like they're putting spirits out sometimes. Look at this dragon. Wow.
Oh, big time. Yeah, yeah. A lot of soul level beings and serpent type beings. And, you see the on the early, I think it's a Portuguese or Spanish pottery. It's a couple few thousand years old, but it's Zeus killing um, the serpent Typhon, and it's really interesting because Zeus looks just like an Anunnaki being, and he's holding the lightning bolt, the Vajra, and taking out this
That's
serpent, and
Vajra.
the serpent looks just like the serpents do on these pieces. Vajra is
Oh,
something that
I
was
know the
held. Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, but that depiction had Zeus with that.
Right. And there's also
Wow.
depictions with Ninurta and depictions with, I'm not going to be able to remember the name in the Hindu, but there's a Hindu god as well with it.
Yeah, right, and that they actually have artifacts throughout India of these
Yes.
Vajra, right? Like it's where they come from. That's why it's so fascinating that there's one with Zeus depicted, an older one like that. I gotta find that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. If you just look up Zeus on Wikipedia, it's actually one of the standard images on Wikipedia for Zeus's depiction.
really
Yeah. It's a
fascinating.
really famous piece. Yeah. Yeah, so
Uh,
knowing the typhoon is that, and you read some of these things about these serpents, uh, it would definitely make sense. They say that the seven-headed serpent will be, the final battle or something like that. And there's this being that shows up all over, and you probably just, I think you might have even seen the petroglyphs, but there's like a seven-headed being that shows up in a lot of Mesoamerican petroglyphs.
yeah, yes, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. I think it's in
Uh,
Utah, if I remember right. I can't remember for sure though.
where
It
I
might be
just
New Mexico
what?
or something.
Oh yeah.
But they
Uh,
I think same with the Hopi tribe there and the Anasazi. Like they definitely have Anunnaki type beings that come in and out of their story throughout the period.
oh, they sure do. I
Yeah.
found. Let's see if I can pull up the picture of petroglyphs with something similar. Definitely winged, depicted
Oh wow, wings.
beings. And give me one
Interesting.
moment. We will just be able to show that.
I'm working on this video right now that's going to kind of tie in the hill down there in Mexico, and then it also shows there's a Hopi, I think it's called a Wachina or a Kachina doll, if I'm saying that right, and um, And it looks just like an Egyptian pharaoh steering this boat.
Really? I
Yeah,
could see that. I can't wait for that video.
yeah. It, definitely, it has like the same headdress on, you know.
Here we go. So we can go like this, and then like these,
Oh wow.
and get a focus. There
Yeah,
we
those
go.
beans for sure.
Those guys right there with the wings.
Hmm. Yeah, I got to
Another
go check
one,
some of these petroglyphs out one of these days. I'm gonna try to
right?
reach out to some of the tribes and share with them what we found and kind of compare notes, I guess.
That would be awesome, and I highly
Right.
encourage you to do that because it needs to be done, and I'm sure they'd be appreciative of it, and we'd get some good information out of it. So there we got some more of them, and this was on a massive boulder. Uh, Connecting another device. There we go. Oh, echo.
I'm doing stuff here. Hang on. I had my other computer going. My phone died, so
All
I'm
right.
back. Hang on, let me switch my headset here.
There we go.
We'll be back in.
I think we're good. Yeah, there you go. You turned it off. No more echo. We're back. So what's new? What's next for Alien Carvings and Two Lego Team? Oh, now you can hear me. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. I got too many
All right.
headphones here.
All good. We got you back. So what's next for Mike and Alien Carvings? What are your upcoming plans, my friends?
Yeah, next month is really, really busy. We're gonna go and do all this science. We've got multiple days booked in the lab, and we'll be filming a documentary, getting as much information as possible, releasing it accordingly. And probably it might even be a couple different documentaries because we're researching multiple avenues with the electrical stuff and these bogospheres and also some of the other pieces. So haven't quite for surely got all that dialed in, but that's going to be the big thing that will be there, as well as we get all these carbon dates back. So expect a lot of content updates in that manner next month. There's also been a couple big discoveries that haven't been shown yet that they're doing more professional editing and stuff like that on. And then at the end of the month, I'll be on the doing a recording for a big podcast that we're going to display a lot of this stuff. So
Very nice.
yeah,
Glad
stoked.
to hear
It
that.
should be a good one. I think it'll be really interesting. You know, the gentleman collects these Egyptian vase, and they have a really specific type of construction to them, and he's been doing a lot of research on
Say
this.
hi
So it's going
to
to be
Matt Beal.
it's going to be really interesting to compare, you know, to see if those things are possibly made in the same type of fashion as this type of geopolymer, because it would make sense if they could
Yeah,
soften
it
the
would.
stone that's how they did that. And he suggests they were made on a lathe, and I think that's probably logical if the stone was softer, and that would be, you know, kind of both those concepts coming together and would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, like machined on a lathe after it was cast for the specific aspects and then carved after that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's fascinating and
And that would
awesome.
give total legitimacy to the perfect ratios, and you know, because when you're lathing and something's spinning perfectly, to get those curvatures and that perfection is well within reason, especially in the glass world. Anyways, I'm not sure about pottery. I've never done that, but
Right, in crystal pottery specifically, because of different fracture and cleavage geometries and angles of the specific minerals and crystals, right? That adds
right.
in quite the complexity. But what you're saying, right? It makes more sense specifically if it was softer at that time, just settling sort of thing from a geopolymer.
Yeah. Yeah, or something like that. I mean, it's definitely more advanced in that respects than what we can do today, because no one's making face like that. I've never
No.
seen anything. And same with these ones from that I showed you earlier. With the
Yeah,
reverse blast and stuff.
I was
It
gonna
does seem like it
ask
was done on a
about
lathe.
that. Like, have you on the inside specifically though? Like, are there carvings, like tool
Yeah, that
marks or
same type
anything?
of marks. Let's look here. Actually, I don't think I
Right?
actually
Like,
paid
here's the
attention to
live
that.
science
Oh my
happening
gosh,
now.
this is heavy. Let's see here.
Live sciencing.
I don't see the lines like his, but it definitely seems as if it was bored out because it's. Where's the camera? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does look a little
But
bit.
the proportions on
Look,
this is just ridiculous.
and how would you get the? Ah, it's so intriguing.
Man, that's heavy.
And like
Yeah.
some of the skulls that are carved out and whatnot, is there like boring like tool marks, or is it more like a cast, or like
It seems as if it was done wet. That's the best. I mean, I've been saying that since one of the first times I came on here. Is that we thought there was some way they were making it soft, and I still think that. How? We haven't found that
so
yet.
it was actually suggested on the episode of League of Extraordinary Inventors that I did right before this by Mike from Space, that it's by adding baking soda to the lime and then heating it that will make it softer and malleable and able to be then broken down and also dissolved into the water glass.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I wonder, if they were able to use high energy instead of heat. I don't think heat was utilized on these based on it's definitely not high heat. It would have to be very
Yeah,
low heat.
I think
100
he said it was
degrees
like a
ambient.
lower heat. It wasn't
Yeah.
hot. Like, yeah, it was like that. You just get a little bit of the heat on the lime to activate the chemical reaction. That's how I think it works.
Yeah. It would make sense.
Right? But it's all these different theories we now need to test, because there's the product of these were created somehow. So now we need to figure it out and just keep proving and learning from it.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, if a regular guy like me can come in here and find this, the scientists should be absolutely pulling things out that are far more correct than what I'm coming up with, But at this point, I think at least there's evidence on the table that warrants their time and effort to do so. And that's really what we've been fighting for, is just trying to get the understanding that there is more here to this story, and we need to research it, and it needs to be looked at, because obviously the powers that be aren't bringing it to the table for some purpose or another.
And continue to hide it and destroy it every which way they can. But
yeah, maybe there's good reason. Maybe this stuff, maybe they do know magic's real. Maybe that's why they burnt the witches. Maybe they're trying to get rid of this to protect us, because this stuff is really evil and could bring back things that we don't want to deal with. I don't know, but it's too late to turn back now.
I agree fully, and maybe one day we might just practice together, me and Alchemist, you pretty much an alchemist yourself at this point, and we will maybe try to cast one of Solomon's angels into one of your tablets and see what happens. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't mess with them, because
neither do I. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I think Solomon's angels might have been the jinn, and they might have actually been corrupt, and a lot of the angels in our books and histories could be that, so
I truly feel the same way. Like, I shouldn't have even joked about that, because it's actually just don't do it. Don't mess with them.
No, that's the temptation, though.
Right?
You should see how many people buy these things and start using them and trying to do, things for power. And I mean, it's a real thing. And so Maybe they were buried for a reason. I don't know, but it seems as if we need to know about this history because the way these people are being led to these objects, it's consistent across the entire country. It's not just an isolated group of individuals. It's families and people who are well deep into the community or well respected. Like it's not just some random guys trying to make money. These people are putting their names on the line. They've been harassed by the INAH and by the police because of this. And I don't think they're doing that for fun. It's definitely
right. Like, no, just so illogical.
Yeah, see these two gentlemen here that are working on this dig, their faces show. Most of the time we keep faces covered, and these guys were so excited. They didn't know I was going to post the video, so he sent me all this, and I immediately got it online within 15, 20 minutes of him sending it to me because it was just, holy cow, they found something crazy. And so these two guys actually worked for the INAH before, and that's how they knew how to dig and do all this stuff pretty well. And so the INAH immediately knew who they were, and they actually created an article saying that they questioned them and that it wasn't in the archaeological site and it had to be fake. Well, the thing is the archaeological site, there's only so big, but the entire town was built on an archaeological site. So anyone's backyard could be an archaeological site. So that's where they're trying to skew it away, that it wasn't right near the pyramids. But the truth is
well, for you though, it's like
close.
You kind of need that to still be the case until it's no longer the case, and then you won't really be allowed to buy any of the artifacts, correct? Like,
yeah, there's this weird window, gray area. It's almost as if they know this is how to make disclosure occur, and this is the best way for us to find out. They've probably done so many things. There's a reason I'm still doing this. Like if they wanted it stopped, they could have asked me a long time ago. I'm not trying to put people at risk, but everybody that I asked that was written into ATIP or part of the this or that at these disclosure, everybody encouraged me, even though none of them wanted anything to do with it.
yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. Well, I guess we should probably wrap this up as it is about to be 1:11 a.m. where I am, and 2 minutes to 12:12 where you are. And I have to be up early to meet Mike Faraday, who is in my city, to go through some samples of my monatomics and giving him to work and experiment on his new battery cells. But cool. That's the episode that was before this for anyone that's interested. Where can people find your stuff? Well, I guess obviously right here. And
Alien Carvings, our books are up there at the top. You can see there, and as far as, if there's ever any questions, you can DM us on social media. I check everything personally. I run everything personally. So
it's how I got in
contact. Might take me a couple days
to
to see it, but I'm definitely, I try to respond to everybody. So.
It's awesome. I appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate this. And we will have to do it all again because I think this is honestly our 25th interview. And
wow,
we go,
awesome.
Right?
You got the exclusive, man. It'll age well, I'm sure of it.
It shall. Just like all of your artifacts, and they keep continuing to be. I love it. Love you. Love your work. Love all the viewers. Thank you all. And
thanks, guys.
Yeah, for a limited time, there's still the window that Mike's being sold the artifacts and he's allowed to sell them. So if you want one, go to the website.
Yeah, it can happen.
Right? I need to get
it's so hard though. I had 250 of the things before I ever let one go because I was just like, there's no way I'm going to ever do that. But,
right?
Well, yeah. Spend all your money and then ask that question again,
All right, brother. We'll do
Have a good night.
Again. Much.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, BurnEye just like last week, huh?
Weekend at BurnEye's.